This is Monkey World in Dorset, the largest ape and monkey rescue centre on the planet. Today on Monkey Life, alpha male Hananya is becoming violent, so the team make a big decision for the safety of his group.
We're going to actually remove the very tips of Hananya's canine teeth, the ones that not just cut the skin, but cut deep and down through muscles.
Chimp, Simon and Evelyn compete to see who is the biggest swinger in town. And the park has seen 5 woolly monkey births, but is getting ready for the next. Pekita is pregnant.
We are able to touch her stomach and check her over, and it's not just puppy fat and too many bananas, she is pregnant.
It's a quiet morning over in Hananya's chimp enclosure. The alpha male has been separated from his group. Last week, Hananya was introduced to youngsters Ben and Pip, who recently left the nursery to join his group. But the meeting didn't quite go according to plan. Hananya immediately attacked, and Ben was bitten, resulting in a nasty wound to his arm. At only 14 years old, Hananya is a young leader, and it shows. He's often immature and unpredictable, so the staff have had to think long and hard about the safety of his group.
What we're concerned about is that Hananya's group actually turns into Lord of the Flies, and Hananya runs amok, stomping and slapping people because he can, and because there's nobody in that group to stop him or to tell him no. For us, the issue is we've got Ben and Pip that have just moved into this group, and we've got Rodders and Ash next door in the nursery group who really are approaching the time when they should graduate from the nursery group as well. But, you know, it just terrifies us, the thought of putting the 2 little ones in with Hananya right now because he is so fully armed.
It's extremely unlikely that Hananya will calm down anytime soon, as he's still trying to prove his alpha male status to the group. So today, the team have decided to take urgent action that will benefit the whole troop.
What we're doing today is we're going to actually remove the very tips of Hananya's canine teeth. So those 4 teeth in the front that are really super long and dagger sharp, and the ones that not just cut the skin, but cut deep and down through muscles.
The park have successfully used this technique before, with another alpha male, Butch. But with Hananya, it's still not a decision they take lightly.
Weighing up the costs and the benefits, for the welfare of the whole group, we think it's the right thing to do. Hananya will not miss the tips of his teeth. Perhaps more importantly, the rest of his troop won't miss the tips of his teeth either.
Removing the tips of canine teeth is a minor surgical operation, but the alpha male will have to be anaesthetised, something that's normally done with a dart and a blowpipe. But this time, wildlife vet John and the team will try out a new technique. Over the last year, keepers Cara and Kate have been training Hananya's group to accept injections from them directly. So far, other than training, the chimps have been injected with flu and tetanus vaccine. But today, for the first time, Cara is going to try and inject Hananya with anaesthetic. It's never been done before with this group, and no one knows how he's going to react, or even if it'll work.
The keepers who work with Ananya tell me that they think it's possible to inject him with a small volume. So we're going to use very high-strength drugs, as opposed to the weaker drugs we normally use in a dart. Give the keepers a chance to just hand inject him, because that's a more secure delivery. Also, he'll get less upset, because the moment I show him a blowpipe, a pistol or whatever, he's going to get very upset, which is never good for an anaesthetic induction. So if we can get away with a smooth, calm, quiet hand inject by people he knows, so much the better.
And obviously he's stressed at the moment because he knows something's going on, and we've never tried to hand inject him in a stressful situation. But the conditioning may be effective enough that overrides the stress, and he just offers his shoulder. If he does, I've got a chance.
Because this is the first time Cara has injected an animal with anaesthetic, she's anxious too.
Getting nervous?
No pressure there.
In the past, Hananya has been a bit nervous when it comes to being injected. He's not very keen on needles. So Hananya's nervous, Cara's nervous, and a temperamental 63-kilo male doesn't like injections. It's a tense time for everyone, and Cara's going it alone. Later, will Cara manage to give Hananya the anaesthetic?
Let's just wait and see now. So, yeah, it would be really great if this works out.
And youngsters Ben and Pip meet their new bodyguard, Cherry. Back at Hananya's group, with the boss away, the chimps are finding other ways to entertain themselves in the sunshine. And for 14-year-old Simon, this can mean only one thing: swinging. And there's nothing better than swinging in front of a captive audience. Each enclosure at the park has been specifically designed to encourage chimps to behave as they would in their natural environment. In the wild, chimps spend much of their time high up in the trees, sleeping and foraging for food. They have incredible balancing skills, and their long arms and strong grip helps them swing from branch to branch with ease. Ever since he was a youngster, Simon has loved taking full advantage of the frames and ropes in his enclosure. The other chimps are well used to watching his aerial displays, and they are pretty impressive. But not to everybody. Evelyn is a dab hand with a rope too. She's good, but Simon's determined to prove he's better. It's time for a swing-off. And Evelyn's opening gambit is a fast-paced spin. Simon responds with an inverse arm flop. It's a strong comeback, but will the judges be impressed? And Simon's making excellent use of the apparatus to create a bungee for extra bounce. But there's only so much swinging you can do, and frankly, Evelyn's got better things to do with her time. Which is news to Simon. What better is there to do with your time than swinging? Especially when you are the undisputed winner of the big swing-off. Meanwhile, over in Hananya's bedroom, the team are still waiting to see if Cara has managed to get close enough to inject Hananya with the anaesthetic.
Yes?
And it's looking good.
Excellent.
Did it bend right at the end?
Let's have a look at it.
I didn't see anything.
Can I look
spurt
at
out,
it?
But it's
Most. There's a tiddly bit. Well, that should be enough.
Hananya is a large adult male chimp, so the team need to ensure he's totally anaesthetised before trying to move him.
Well, Hananya's obviously laying on his back now, and he seems to be asleep. So we'll check if he is.
Hananya will be taken to the park's on-site hospital, where dental surgeon Peter Cortez will perform the operation.
Right.
Hananya's canine teeth are around an inch long and extremely sharp. Peter will need to put them in line with the other teeth and remove around half of each canine. Although this seems rather traumatic, it is painless, straightforward surgery.
As you can see, we have to cut a considerable amount of tooth off, but the pulp is exposed. The pulp down there is the nerve and the blood vessels inside the tooth. So can't leave it like that because the tooth is going to get infected that way. So what we're going to do is root fill it, because if we leave it, that's going to be very, 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 very painful. These are the bits that we've actually taken off.
Removing the tips of Hananya's teeth won't affect his position as alpha male or make any difference to his everyday life.
Now, he doesn't need those canines for anything in terms of defence or eating or display or anything like that at all. It'll make no difference to him. We don't forget, we're not removing his teeth, he's still got them, they're just a bit more blunt. But it might make a difference to the other chimps. All we're doing is tipping the balance a little bit. We're removing the tips of his canines so he can't inflict such severe wounds on other members of the group.
If Hananya didn't have his canines removed, they would have to consider taking him out of the group.
I mean, looking ahead long term, unless his behaviour changed a lot, you know, you'd have to consider taking him out of that group and putting him either with a like-minded yob or keep him on his own. That's not very good welfare.
There are 3 established groups of adult chimps living at Monkey World, and introducing new members is always a challenge, as youngsters Ben and Pip found out when they moved from the nursery into Hananya's group. Because the meeting with Hananya went so badly, today, with Hananya out of the way, Animal Director Jeremy has decided to try another approach. He's introducing the pair to high-ranking female Cherry. Cherry's actually Pip's mum, but they haven't seen each other for 6 years, so it's unlikely that they'll recognise one another. However, Jeremy's hoping that if the youngsters can get Cherry on side, she'll protect them when they next meet Hananya. But it's not going to be easy winning her over. She's a feisty, dominant female.
Generally with Cherry, she does over-the-top demonstrating that she's the big, you know, the big I am. She's in charge, and you know, she's a bit of a terrorist.
When Cherry enters the bedroom and meets the group, Ben and Pip hang back nervously on the floor, unsure of their new visitor. As expected, Cherry immediately asserts her dominance over the other females, but so far this is completely normal chimp behaviour. Although Cherry probably doesn't recognise her daughter, the pair do have very similar characteristics, and Pip is fearless when it comes to strangers, just like her mum. She immediately approaches Cherry, whilst Ben stays well back.
Pip needs to learn that she's only a little girl and be a little bit more subordinate. She's always straight in there, you know, and just like her mother. And she hasn't earned that like her mother has. You know, she's not there yet. I think Ben's a lot more sensible than Pip, because Pip is just far too full on. But I'm sure when she's had 1 or 2 slapping, hopefully the penny will drop. But there again, she is her mother's daughter, so who knows?
And it's not long before Cherry decides to put Pip in her place and show her who's boss. Luckily, Pip gets away with a harmless slap.
The biggest competition to an individual will be a member of the same sex. So Ben will be focused on by Hananya, and equally Cherry will focus on Pip because that's her competition. So, you know, what we see here is an example of that, and, you know, and a very good example. The thing is, well, when she has made her final decision and you are OK, then she gets over it and we all get on with a normal life.
So it looks like Jeremy's plan has worked. Cherry seems to have accepted Ben and Pip and will hopefully protect Ben from Hananya if he targets him again in the future. Later, woolly monkey Pekita feels the strains of pregnancy.
When she's swinging, she actually puts her hand in the small of her back, just like a pregnant human often does.
Over in the park's hospital, dentist Peter Cortez is removing the tips of Hananya's canine teeth to stop him injuring Ben and Pip and any other members of his group in the future. Although this looks rather drastic, it's actually a very minor procedure.
We're now in the canal. There you are. This is the nerves and the blood vessels. And that's what, that's what people call the nerve. That is the nerve in the tooth. Once we got the pulp removed, there's no nerve blood vessels in there, so there's no pain at all. Now we've got that out, we can clean it really thoroughly. And as you can see, there's no bleeding anymore. And that's an empty hole. Of course, we can't leave it like this, and we have to disinfect it, which we're doing now.
The procedure Hananya is having is exactly the same as root canal surgery in a human. The hole is plugged, and then a large filling added.
So now you've got a solid fill all the way from the cut I've made right to the tip of the root, so nothing can get in from either end.
Hananya won't need any painkillers when he comes round from the sedation, as the nerves supplying the teeth in the root canals have all been removed.
These fillings and the root fillings will last him the rest of his life. I'm totally confident about that.
Hananya will be taken back to his house to recover, and other than having a slight headache from the anaesthetic, he'll be pain-free and back with his troop in no time. Over at Paddy's chimp troop, youngster Eddie is enjoying quality time with her alpha male dad, Paddy. Since the arrival of her little brother Bart, 16 months ago, Eddie's mum Susie has been spending all her time looking after him, and Eddie's being ignored. If there's one thing Eddie needs, it's attention. So with Susie busy, she's looking to Dad to provide it for her. In the wild, alpha males usually leave childcare duties to the females, who see to their food, protection and welfare. But Paddy and Eddie have had a particularly close relationship since she was a baby. Unlike Ben and Pip, who were rejected by their parents, Eddie was the first baby to successfully grow up within one of the chimp families at the park, and she benefited from a secure family environment. She was always the centre of attention. In fact, she was spoilt rotten. Mum Susie let her do what she wanted, when she wanted. And she's always had alpha male dad Paddy wrapped around her little finger. She could even steal food from right under his nose. And being the big softy that he is, he's happy to spend time messing about in the water with her. Even if it will take him a while to dry off. Down at the woolly monkey enclosure, keeper Holly's checking up on one of their newest additions to the group.
Good girl, Pekita. Good girl.
A year ago, female Pekita arrived at Monkey World from Twycross Zoo. And she was introduced to male Levar's group. Monkey World is one of 3 animal parks and rescue centres across the UK who take part in an international endangered species breeding programme. They work together and often swap primates like Pekita between parks to avoid inbreeding.
The reason she moved is because in the wild, woolly monkey females would leave their related family groups to move off to new unrelated groups so that they'd be able to breed without a risk of interbreeding with any male relatives. In the wild, that happens naturally, but in captivity, we have to simulate that.
And the good news is that it seems to have worked.
As you can see, she's looking quite chunky, and we think the breeding programme will be very happy because Pekita's pregnant. Pekita's very sweet, she's very friendly. She's also knows her own mind, and she's very greedy with her food. So when she first started to put on weight, we were a bit concerned that she was simply stealing other woolies' food. But now it's become fairly apparent by how she's carrying her weight and just how big her belly is that it's not just puppy fat and too many bananas. She is pregnant.
This will be the 6th woolly monkey to be born at Monkey World, which is fantastic news as they are notoriously difficult to breed in captivity, and some often need a helping hand. Staff have hand-reared 3 babies over the years, but they hope that Pekita will be able to care for her new baby without intervention. But with a 5-month gestation period, the new mum has still got a while to get used to the joys of pregnancy.
She's coping very well. She's had a little bit of trouble with her hormones. She's been a little bit stroppy and a little bit grumpy. We've noticed she's feeling a little bit more tired, moving around. And the other day we actually noticed her when she's swinging, she actually puts her hand in the small of her back, just like a pregnant human often does. And while it looks quite sweet, you do feel for her that she's starting to feel a bit uncomfortable. And as the weather gets warmer, I imagine she'll start to feel very uncomfortable. But by our best estimations, she hasn't got too long to go now.
Next time, the bachelor boys get to grips with a tree that's invaded their enclosure. Baby Bart gets all grown up and goes it alone. And the Chilean capuchins experience the outside world for the first time in their lives.
They've just taken everything in their stride. They've been amazing, and they sit in the sun and they eat the grass, they forage through the grass as if this is what they've done all their life. All their natural behaviours are so strong still, and it's like, yeah, we can do that, we can do this, bring it on.